Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Anybody lurking? The sky is opening up around me as I speak. Um, oh, wait. We got to do the recap first. And I'm going to pour some Coke before I do the recap. Straw doesn't want to go where I want it to go. We just had a whole bunch of thunder, and the sky opened up. I'm hoping that I can get the chapter through before tournament starts in Rocket League. At very minimum, I should make the second chance tourney. But we haven't read in over a month. And I've been trying to catch up on the singing, but taking a break from that today. All right. That's good enough, I think, to start. Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. For some people, it might be the start of their week if they had yesterday off, like I did. All right. Where is my chapter recap? All right. So last time we read chapter 19. The Trouble with Dogs, the Pedestal, the Graveyard, the Outer Gate. Overview. Lost in Lilymar's shifting streets, Charlie uses a ruined monarch statue to regain direction and pushes towards the wall. After fleeing a graveyard where the dead rise, he reaches the outer gate and opens it by invoking Leah. He sends Radar through, but the night soldier sees him as he blacks out. And now the chapter summary. Charlie, burdened by Radar's trusting excitement and his own rising panic, wanders a Lilymar that seems to rearrange itself. Buildings crowd in. The palace appears to shift and daylight drains away. The three bells warn of impending night, raising the stakes for escape. In an overgrown park, Charlie climbs a high pedestal of a ruined monarch tableau. From that vantage, he waits for the returning butterflies, scratches a directional mark, and sights a gap between buildings. He drops down, abandons the trike, and runs with Radar across the sodden ground toward the line he chose. They cut through warehouses and alleys until the city walls appear. Forced into a cemetery, Charlie trips and sees desiccated hands claw from the earth as crypt doors groan open. Excuse me. He shoulder smashes a locked gate and bursts out onto the Galleon road. Blue-lit mist behind him and Radar. Exhausted and pursued by the blue aura night soldiers, Charlie staggers towards the outer gate. A second wind carries him as he discards his pack. The gate crawls open when he cries, "Open in the name of Leah of the Galleon." An electric cart of night soldiers bears down. Charlie orders Radar out and flings away Bowditch's 45 to keep it from them. As he dives for the gap, a gray-haired night soldier clamps his throat. The others close in and the gate begins to shut. Charlie loses consciousness, separated from Radar. All right, that was the cliffhanger that we've been waiting a month for. So now we'll see what happens to Charlie. And to Radar, I guess. All right. Put that there, I guess. All right. Chapter 20. Durant's Vial, Hammy, Feeding Time, The Lord High, Interrogation. Radar fights the urge to turn back to the new master, to return to the gate and jump up, her front paws scratching for entry. She doesn't do it. She has her orders and runs. She feels like she can run all night, but she won't have to because there's a safe place if she can get in. Slap, slap. She lopes on, body low to the ground. There's no moonlight, not yet, and no wolves howl, but she feels them near. If there's moonlight, they will attack. And she senses moonlight coming. If it does, and they do, she will fight. They may overwhelm her, but she will fight to the end. Slap, slap. Wake up, kitty. The moons slide out of an unraveling cloud, the smaller in its eternal chase of the larger, and the first wolf howls. But there ahead is the red wagon and the shelter where she and Charlie spent the night when she was still sick. And if she can reach it, she can slip inside if the door is still open. She thinks he didn't close it all the way, but isn't sure. That was long ago. If it is, she can stand on her back legs and push it closed with her paws. If it isn't, then she will put her back against it and fight until she can fight no more. Slap, slap. Do you want to miss another meal? Nah, nah. The door is ajar. Radar pushes through it and slap. That one finally shattered the dream I had been having, and I opened my eyes to a chancy, shadowy light and someone kneeling over me. His hair straggled down to his shoulders, and he was so pale for a moment I thought it was the night soldier who had been driving the little electric bus. I sat up fast. A bolt of pain went through my head, followed by a wave of dizziness. I raised my fists. The man's eyes widened, and he drew back. And he was a man, not a pallid thing surrounded by an envelope of blue light that spilled from its eyes. These eyes were hollow and bruised looking, but they were human eyes. And his hair was dark brown that was almost black, not gray. Let him die, Hammy, someone shouted. He's goddamn 31. They'll never go for 64. Those days are gone. One more, and we're for it. Hammy, if that was his name, looked toward the voice. He grinned, showing white teeth and a dirty face. He looked like a lonesome weasel. Just trying to berserk my soul. Aye. Do good to another, you know. Too close to the end not to think about the ever after. Fuck yourself and fuck your ever after, said the one called the Eye. There's this world, then the fireworks, and that's all. I was on a cold, damp stone. Over Hammy's scrawny shoulder, I could see a wall of blocks, oozing water with a barred window high up. Nothing between the bars but black. I was in a cell. Durant's Vial, I thought. I didn't know where that phrase came from. Wasn't even sure I knew what it meant. What I knew was that my head ached terribly, and that the man who had been slapping me awake had breath so bad it was like some animal had died in his mouth. Oh, and it seemed I had wet my pants. Hammy leaned close to me. I tried to draw back, but there was more bars behind me. You look strong, kitty. Hammy stubble-ringed mouth tickled against my ear. It was horrible and somehow pathetic. Will you bedirk me like I bedirked you? I tried to ask where I was, but all that came out were cracked pieces of sound. I licked my lips. They were dry and swollen. Thirsty. That I can fix. He scurried to a bucket in the corner of what now I had no doubt was a cell, and Hammy was my cellmate. He was wearing ragged pants that stopped at his shins, like a castaway in a magazine cartoon. His shirt was barely a singlet. His bare arms glimmered in the chancy light. They were pitifully thin, but they didn't look gray. In the bad light, it was hard to tell for sure. You goddamn idiot. That was someone else, not the one Hammy had called I. Why make it worse? Did your nurse drop you on your head when you was a babbin'? The kitty was barely breathing. You could have sat on his chest and made an end to him. Back to 30, slick as spit. Hammy paid no mind. He took a tin cup from the shelf over what I assumed was his palate and dipped it in the bucket. He brought it to me with one finger, as dirty as the rest of him, pressed against the bottom. Hole in it, he said. I didn't care, because I was going to get a chance, because I wasn't going to get a chance to leak very much. I snatched it and gulped it down. There was grit in it, but I didn't care about that either. It was heaven. Blow him while you're at it, why don't you? Another voice asks. Give him a good old sucking, Hames. That'll bring him around smart as a pony whip. Where am I? Hammy leaned forward, wanting to be confidential. I abhorred his breath. It was making my headache even worse. But I stood it because I had to know. Now that I was coming around a little and leaving my wishful dream of radar behind, I was surprised I wasn't dead. Maylene, he whispered. Deep Maylene. 10 something, some word I didn't know, below the palace. 20, I shouted. And you'll never see the sun again, new boy. None of us will. So get used to it. I took the cup from Hammy and made my way across the cell, feeling like radar at her oldest and weakest. I filled it, put my finger over the water trickling from the small hole in the bottom, and drank again. The boy who had once watched Turner Classic Movies and ordered online from Amazon was in a dungeon. No way to mistake it for anything else. Cells ran along both sides of a dank corridor. Gas lamps protruded from the walls between a few of the cells, muttering bluish yellow light. Water dripped down from the hewn rock ceiling. There were puddles in the central passage. Across from me, a big fellow wearing what looked like the remains of long underwear bottoms saw me looking at him and jumped up at the bars, shaking them and making monkey noises. His chest was bare, wide, and hairy. His face was broad, his forehead was low. He was ugly as fuck, but there was none of that creeping disfigurement I had seen on my way to this charming abode, and his voice was all present and accounted for. Welcome, new boy. It was I, which I found out later was short for Iota. Welcome to hell. When the fair one comes, if it comes, I believe I'll rip your liver out and wear it for a hat. First round you, second round whoever they send against me. Until then, have a pleasant stay. Down the corridor, near an iron-banded wooden door at the end, another prisoner, this one female, yelled, You should have stayed in Citadel, kitty. Then lower, and so should I. Starving would have been better. Hammy walked to the corner of the cell opposite the water bucket. dropped his pants, and squatted over a hole in the floor. I got the bads. Might have been field mushrooms. What, a year and more since you had any? I asked. You got the bads all right, but mushrooms got nothing to do with it. I closed my eyes. Time passed. I don't know how much, but I began to feel more like myself. I could smell dirt and damp and gas from the jets that gave this place some semblance of light. I heard the plink of falling water and prisoners moving around, sometimes talking to each other or maybe to themselves. My cellmate was sitting near the water bucket, staring morosely at his hands. Hammy? He looked up. What are whole ones? He snorted laughter, then grimaced and clutched his stomach. We are. Are you foolish? Did you drop from the sky? Pretend I did. Sit over here next to me. And when I hesitated, nah, never worry about me. I ain't gonna tickle your nuts, if that's what you think. Might have a flea or two hop over to you, is all. I ain't even been able to get stiff these last 6 months or so. Bad guts'll do that. Sat down next to him, and he gave my knee a clap. That's better. I don't like to speak for all those ears. Not that it matters what they hear. We're all fish in the same bucket. But I keep myself to myself. It's how I was taught. He sighed. Worrying don't help my poor guts any. I can tell you that. Seeing the numbers go up and up and up, nasty. 25, 26, now 31. And they'll never go to 64. I's right about that. Once we whole ones was like a full sack of sugar, but now that sack's empty except for the last few crystals. Did he say crystals or something else? My headache was trying to come back. My legs ached from walking and pedaling and running, and I was tired. It was as if I had been scooped out somehow. Hammy gave another sigh that turned into a coughing fit. He held his belly until it passed. Flight killer and his... some strange word my mind couldn't translate. Something like rugamunkus. Keep shaking the sack, though. Won't be content until he gets every last fucking one of us. But 64? Nah. That'll be the last fair one, and I'll be among the first to go. Maybe the very first. Ain't strong, you see. Got the bads, and the food don't stick to me. Wow, the rain is coming down crazy hard right now. I don't know if that's picking up on the mic. You seem to remember I was there, the new cellmate. But you, I seen you was big. And you might be fast if you had your strength. Thought of telling him I was particularly fast, but decided not to. Let him think what he wanted. He ain't scared of you. Iota ain't scared of nobody, except maybe for Red Molly and her bitch Ma. But he don't want to work any harder than he has to either. What's your name? Charlie. Lowering his voice even further. And you don't know where you are? For real and true? Durance Vile, I thought. Well, it's a prison, a dungeon, and I guess it might be under the palace, but that's about all. I had no intention of telling him why I'd come, or who I had met along the way. I was returning to myself now, tired or not, and starting to think straight. Hammy could be pumping me, getting info he could trade for privileges. Deep Moline didn't seem like a place where there were privileges. The end of the line, so to speak. But I didn't want to risk it. Maybe they wouldn't care about one escaped German shepherd from Century, Illinois. But then again, they might. All right, hold on. Organic Lemons is calling me. All right. I lost where I was at. Not from the Citadel, are you? I shook my head. Don't even know where it is, do you? No. Green Isles? Deesk? One of the Tavos, maybe? None of those places. Where are you from, Charlie? I said nothing. Don't tell, Hammy whispered fiercely. That's good. Don't tell none of these others, and I won't either. If you burdeck me, you'd be wise to. There's worse face than deep Maleen, young one. You might not believe it, but I know. The Lord High is bad, but all I know about the Flight Killer is worse. Who is the Flight Killer and the Lord High? Who's he? Lord High is what we call Kellen, chief of the night soldiers. He brought you in himself. I stayed in the corner. Those eyes of his. A muffled bell began to ring behind the iron-bound door at the end of the dungeon room. Percy! Iota yelled. He jumped up on the bars and began to shake them again. Ain't it just about fucking time? Get in here. Percy, my old pal. Let's see what's left of your face. There were sounds of bolts being thrown. I counted 4.
We don't know that guy.
We thought we did.
Hey, welcome in, Masquerader. First came a cart, almost like the kind you pushed around in a supermarket, but made of wood. Behind it was a gray man whose face seemed to have melted. Only one eye remained to him. His nose barely jutted from a burl of flesh. His mouth was sealed shut except for a teardrop-shaped opening on the left side. His fingers were so melted his hands looked like flippers. He wore baggy pants and a baggy blouse-like top. A bell was hung around his neck on a rawhide loop. He stopped just inside the door, seized the bell, and shook it. At the same time, he looked back and forth with his one eye. Huck, huck, huck. Ooh, bastards. Compared to this guy, Doris sounded like Laurence Olivier spouting Shakespeare. Hammy grabbed me by the shoulder and pulled me back. Across from it, I was also stepping back. All the prisoners were. Percy kept ringing the bell until he was satisfied we were far enough away from the bars to make grabbing him impossible. Although I didn't see any reason why anyone would. He was like a trustee in a prison movie, and trustees don't carry keys. The cell Hammy and I were in was closest to him. Percy reached into his cart, took out 2 good-sized hunks of meat, and flung them through the bars. I caught mine on the fly. Hammy grabbed for his, but missed, and it splattered on the floor. Now the prisoners were yelling at him. One, I later found out it was Fremy, inquired if Percy's asshole was skinned over yet, and if so, did he have to shit out of his mouth. They sounded like lions in the zoo at feeding time. Only that's wrong. They sounded like hyenas. These weren't lions, with the possible exception of Iota. Hi, Fatty 2-Bits. I'm going to take a sip on that page turn. Percy rolled his cart slowly down the corridor between the cells, sandals splashing. His toes were also sealed together, throwing meat left and right. His aim was good, one eye or not, and none of the meat hit the bars and fell into the standing water of the corridor. Some lavender creamer. into your Diet Coke. Oh, hi, Songbird. I I can barely read the screen when I have these glasses on to read the book. Um, I raised my chunk to my nose and smelled. I guess I was still in fairy tale mode because I expected something rotten and nasty, maybe even infested with maggots. But it was a piece of beefsteak that could have come from Century Hy-Vee Market, albeit without the sanitary plastic wrap. It had barely touched fire. I thought of my dad ordering steak in a restaurant and telling the waiter to just run it through a warm room. But the smell was enough to squirt saliva into my mouth and set my stomach to roaring. The last meal I had had was in Claudia's wooden home. I probably could benefit from some kind of bifocal, but I don't actually read enough to need it. I don't know. I actually have thought about that. Across from me, I was sitting on his pallet, cross legged, gnawing on his steak. Red juice ran into the matting of his beard. He saw me looking at him and grinned. Go on, kitty. Eat while you got teeth to eat with. I'll knock 'em out. Directly. I ate. The steak was tough. The steak was delicious. Every bite made me hungry for the next. Percy had reached the last pair of cells. He threw meat into them and began backing up the way he had come, ringing the bell with one flapper, pulling the cart with the other, and yelling, "Hock, hock," which I presume was back, back. No one seemed interested in catcalling him now, let alone rushing him. From everywhere came the sound of smacking and chomping. I ate everything but a ring of fat and gristle, then ate that too. Hammy, meanwhile, had taken a few bites of his steak, then subsided on his pallet, holding it on one bony knee. He was staring at it with a puzzled expression, as if wondering why he didn't want it. He saw me looking and held it out. Do you want it? Food don't like me, and I don't like food. I used to put it away with the best of 'em, back in my sawmill days. Must have been those mushrooms. Eat the wrong kind and they'll fry your guts. That's what happened to me. I wanted it all right. My stomach was still roaring, but I had enough restraint left to ask if he was sure. He said he was. I took it fast in case he changed his mind. Percy had stopped outside our cell. He pointed to me with one of his melted hands. Hella aunts oo ee oo. I don't understand, I said through a mouthful of mostly raw steak. But Percy just started backing up again until he was out of the door. He gave one more ring of the bell, then shot the bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. He said, Kellen wants to see you, Hammy said. I ain't surprised. You're whole, but you ain't like us. Even your accent ain't. He stopped, and his eyes widened as some idea struck him. Tell him you're from Ullum. That'll work. Way north of the Citadel. What's Ullum? Religiouses. They don't sound like nobody else. Tell him you ducked the poison. I don't have the slightest idea what you're talking about. Hammy, don't be saying what you shouldn't, someone shouted. You a lunatic. Shut up, Stooks, Hammy cried. This kitty's going to bedirk me. Across the corridor, I got up and grasped the bars with shiny fingers. He was smiling. You may not be a lunatic, but nobody's going to protect you, Hammy. There's no protection for any of us. All of your new pairs of glasses are progressives and thankful. Couldn't read anything, not even the directions on the microwave snap. I know. I have glasses like in every part of the house now, well, except for the bathroom. Even though sometimes I struggle to read my phone when I'm sitting there on the toilet, like I'm holding it out here as far as I can, trying to read it. I probably need to have a pair of glasses there too. All right. There was no pallet for me. I actually thought about taking Hammy's. There's no way he could have stopped me, and then wondered just what the fuck I was thinking or becoming. I'd already taken his meal, but at least that had been offered. Besides, a damp stone floor wasn't going to keep me awake, not the way I felt. I'd come to not all that long ago after I'd come to not all that long ago after being out for God knew how long, but a great weariness sufficed me. I had a drink from the bucket, then lay down on what I suppose was my side of the cell. And the next one were two men, Fremy and Stooks. They were young and looked strong, not big like Iota, but strong. Fremy, Babby go nappy nap? Stooks, all tired out? The Abbot and Costello of Deep Malin, I thought. And in the very next cell, how fucking lucky can I get? Don't mind him, Charlie, Hammy said. You sleep. Everybody gets it took out of them after being handled by the night watch. They suck it out of you. They suck your, I don't know, life force, I asked. Felt like my eyelids had been dipped in cement. That's it. That's just what it is and how they do. And it was Kellen himself carried you in. You must be strong or the bastard would have cooked you like an egg. I've seen it happen. Oh, yes, I have. Tried to ask him how long he had been here, but could only mumble. I was going down. I thought of the spiral steps that had led me here, and it seemed that I was running down them again, chasing after radar. Watch out for the roaches, I thought.